Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to give you a small, short guide on how to get a balanced four-player party in Baldur's Gate 3 for the Tactician difficulty. So, we're going to go ahead and get our game started, and there's a few things you want to keep in mind. When it comes to having a balanced group, you want a tank, you want someone who's a ranged DPS, you probably want a healer, and you're probably going to want a melee DPS and someone to pick blocks. So I'm going to go through it with the basic party, and at a later video, I'll give you a full rundown on how you do it with a custom 4-player party if you are following my previous guide on how to have 4 custom party members. If we go ahead and get into it, you're going to start off with your custom character if you're not playing an origin character. I do recommend going with a custom character because you can kind of balance your group. So your race does not matter. If you wanted to go optimally for a tank build, you would go half orc because relentless endurance is very useful, especially if you're the one sitting in combat when you're like blowing something up. It doesn't matter how much damage you'll take, even if it's a million, you will always come back up if this is available. Now, for right now, I'll just go basic human. It doesn't really matter. And you have a few options now. So you could go, if you're going tank for your custom character, which is what I'm going to recommend here, you do have a few options. So you can go barbarian. This is just your everyday, like you're going to be your easiest choice. It doesn't require a lot of thought to it. It's just maxing your strength, maxing your con, and having a good dex and other stats. Fighter is more of a nuanced pick because you have a lot of options. You could go Eldritch Knight, and you can go other subclasses that are really cool, really fun, and Fighter is really, really strong in combat, like holy moly, very strong. You could also go Paladin, which is usually my choice, because you can double dip into things like Oath of Ancients, which give you healing radiance, and you also get Lay on Hands, and if you've seen my guide on how to have a healer tank DPS spec when it comes to Paladin, you'll know that I'm a very big fan. Now, the little known ones is for tanks, you can also do Druid, who has the wild shapes. At the early levels, like level 1, they're really bad, but when level 2 and level 3 come around, you'll get your wild shapes, and you'll be a pretty effective tank. I don't know how well it scales because I haven't really played the hell out of Druid, because Druid's kind of like a more specific pick and isn't the go-to. So for right now, we're going to go Barbarian because Barbarian's the easiest to explain, and you can use the principles learned at Barbarian for your other characters. So the background isn't a huge deal. I would try to go something that gives you either perception or stealth or intimidation. Just like having your frontline dude have all this would be great, right? Soldier's fine. We go into our abilities, and we're going to go ahead and clear this. We're going to go ahead and clear this as well. And since we're human, we do get the extra proficiency. So we're going to go, and the game actually had it set up perfectly there. We're going to assign our extra points into strength and con. So we're going to want 16 strength. You don't want to go 17 here. You don't want to do anything like that. You're going to want a 16 con, so 16 strength, 17 con, and maybe get, you know, like a 10 wisdom, 14 dex, go up wisdom on 12. You could go 12 in anything here. It doesn't really matter. If you want it to be like intimidating and doing all that sort of thing, you could also, you know, boost your con. Sorry, not your con, your charisma, and that's fine. So we're going to boost wisdom here just to give us a little bit of, you know, defense against certain spells. And here what we want to do is we just want to improve some spells here. So let's do survival, perception, acrobatics, okay? And that's it. That's how you build your tank. So now you go to range DPS. So if you're going with the main characters, you're going to be picking one of these people. So let's start off with the most basic one, and this is the third character or fourth character you're able to pick up. Gale. Gale's a wizard. Very, very easy build. So we'll go ahead and we'll clear this. So what we want is we want our 16 int. We want a good con. And we want a good wisdom here. We don't want anything crazy with our stats. Like, if we can get a 14 con, that would be great. If we can get a 10 dexterity, that's great. We have points to spare, so we'll up our wisdom. We'll up our dex. Let's see. If you really wanted to, you could go 17 intelligence, but strength isn't a big deal. Sometimes I just go 10 strength so I can help maneuver stuff, but you don't really need it, right? You don't really need it. And if you wanted to go with some kind of weird like improvement build to where you don't take feat improvement at level 4, you could go 17 int, and then you can get a +1 at level 4. Instead of a +2, you can get a +1 int and then get some other ability. But for right now, what we'll do is we'll just give ourselves a 15 con. You don't really want to do 15s because 15s are kind of iffy. So if you want, you can also do charisma. When it comes to proficiencies, this is completely on your build, but you're going to want intelligence based. So we're already proficient due to our background being sage. We're already proficient with Arcana history. So let's grab investigation. Let's grab investigation like that, so we can grab more stuff. Religion would be great. Insight would also be great. So now we have good proficiencies. That's how you get your ranged DPS. So now what we want is we want a melee DPS. Now this is a choice between Lae'zel and Astarion here, because Lae'zel is very, very strong because she gets a feat improvement earlier than regular classes get it. And you're able to really dish out a lot of damage, and she's really good. So you can go Lae'zel here, and the way to build her is the same way you built your Barbarian, so I'm not going to go through it just to save you a bit of time here. You could also go Astarion here and have your Dex base, and remember, you still need a healer. So the way you build, I will go with Astarion here. The way you build your Dex base, very, very simple. So let's go ahead and clear it. Let's get as high Dex as we can. Let's get high Wisdom as well, because we want to be doing perception checks on this guy. We'll leave our Charisma because we're gonna get our healer to be our Charisma based. But we're gonna go ahead and get a decent intelligence and a decent con. We have one more point. We'll just put it right there. That's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but you want to have high dex. And then you have masteries here, so you have a lot more stuff that you can do. So we want our sleight of hand to be as high as possible. We want stealth to be high as possible. We want investigation to be high as possible. And you can also do that to have your stealth super high because of the mastery things. Investigation's good. That's good. We'd love to have a higher perception, but that's fine. And I guess we'll just take athletics to kind of like bring her back in there. High elf cantrip. These are nearly redundant. Mage hand's pretty good for a rogue though. Recommend going with that. And that's it for Astarion. That's it. So your final character, you're probably going to want a healer. Unless you're going full damage, then I'd recommend, you know, like picking up Lae'zel. But you're probably going to want a healer. So Shadowheart's going to be the obvious pick here. Your high elf cantrip. For your healer, you're probably just going to want some kind of illusion wisdom-based check. You're going to go ahead with your cantrips. So I'd always recommend getting Guidance. Guidance is a very, very strong spell. Guidance, Sacred Flame, and since you are going to make her your charisma-based checks, you're definitely going to want Thaumaturgy as well. That's what she gets from her domain. Acolyte's fine. We're going to go ahead and clear this. We're going to go ahead and clear this as well. So what we want for this character is to be our healer, and we want her to be our talker. So we're going to go ahead and max 16, 16 here. We want a very high con. We want a very high strength. So having low intelligence here, having low dexterity here, is fine for a healer because you want your healer to go last. You want your healer to happen after all the damage has went through, right? So having a low dex, completely fine. Having a low intelligence, completely fine. If you want it to have a little bit higher intelligence, you could go like this, or you could go and have a 12 intelligence and just dump strength and dex. But I'm going to go for a 12 strength here because there is going to be a little bit of melee combat she's going to be doing. For your proficiencies, I'd recommend getting persuasion. Having intimidation would also be great. I don't know why that's saying it's a -1. It shouldn't be. Because that she has that much. But hey, listen, maybe it's a little bit scuffed right now, but that's fine. History, sure. Medicine, sure. It doesn't matter for your second one. Persuasion is the important one here. And then your prepared spells, just to get started. Sanctuary is one of the strongest spells in the game. If you want to read it, there it is. Sanctuary is huge. You definitely want Healing Word. You definitely want Cure Wounds. And your last one, you can kind of go wherever, but just understand that you should be using your spell slots for heals and assisting your team with taking down enemies. So Command is probably the one I'm going to go. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Have a good one. Enjoy this. There will be another video on how to do 4 custom characters.